So, John, can you tell me a little bit about your experience here in Swaziland for these last 2 weeks?
Well, it's hard to sum up in a short way, but I can tell you that it's definitely an experience that I'm extremely thankful for. Um, I'm so happy that I made the decisions and the sacrifices to come. It was well worth it. Um, I didn't really come in with a lot of expectations on purpose because I wanted to really just kind of come in with an open mind and not get overly excited or not get not really come in with anything. And I think that was it worked out really well because every day was a surprise. Although we were prepared well for what we were going to see in the hospital and out in the outreach and everything, the rural areas. I think that I don't think anything can prepare you for when you actually see what an epidemic is. To go into a room and there's 100 people in there, coughing, hunched over in pain, and that's just at one small rural clinic. It does something to you that it doesn't happen in the United States. So that was what this trip was for me. It really, to say it put it into perspective would be an understatement.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
If you were to say you learned one thing for yourself on this trip, what do you think that would be?
One thing for myself. I think the Swazi people, even though they are going through such horrible times, true, our economy's bad, but we're not also fighting an epidemic from many fronts. Yes, we do have sickness and we have disease in the United States, but we have poverty in the United States, but we don't have a 60% unemployment rate. We don't have abandoned children with, nothing. But even with all that, they still smile and they still laugh and they find the good in everything. And that was something that was really amazing to me that I'm going to take from here and use in my experiences, I think. And just don't forget that to be thankful.
Why do you think a nursing student should come on a trip like this?
Oh, why wouldn't a nursing student want to come on a trip like this? I mean, I'm in third term. I've got 2 terms left. But so there's obviously a lot I have to learn, and I will be learning for the rest of my life. But there are things that you can experience on a trip like this that you will never experience working in a hospital or working anywhere in the United States, for that matter. I mean, it's just you get to know a different. You get to experience a different culture, a different way of life. You get to see how a country that is so resource poor can still survive, and it just gives hope. You see life happen. You see death happen. I did not personally see any death happen, but I talked to a lot of people about death and what they've experienced. From a nursing student standpoint, I got the full spectrum of what this trip was supposed to encompass. My first day at the Wellness Center for healthcare workers, I got to go to an outreach to a woman who was 74 years old. She had been a healthcare worker for the government for 33 years plus. She lived in a house that would be considered probably a nice house to most Swazis, but it probably wasn't its day. But you could tell it had been has been kept up, and she was there with her daughters and her grandkids and her great grandkids. They had no running water. They were probably didn't have a lot of food. They didn't have a lot of money coming in. But they were so thankful that we were there. They were so happy to see us. She had never met an American before, and her grandson had never seen a white person. And we came there, and we assessed her. We gave her medication. We gave her food for her family. We talked to her about her life. I commented on how beautiful her china collection was in her cabinet, and she said after her husband died, she wanted to treat herself to something nice, and that's what she did, and now she can give that to her children when she leaves this earth. That was an amazing experience for me. And then next day I got to go to the hospital, and I worked mostly in the pediatric ward all day, which was the most emotional day I've had here, and definitely the most emotional day I've had in my nursing experience thus far. It was really hard for me to see the suffering that was, well, suffering that was going on, because there was a lot of suffering going on, but there was also good things that happened. The abandoned children was hard. That was hard for me. The malnourished children, that was really hard for me. I think that I wasn't totally prepared for that, but like I said, I don't think you can prepare for a day like that. It was a long day. It was an exhausting day. Tensions were a little bit high, but we all came together at dinner. We all talked about it. We debriefed. We unloaded, and it was very therapeutic to talk to the professors that were with us that have seen stuff like this before, and how it affected them the first time they saw it, and it made me feel like, okay, then I'm reacting the right way. This isn't abnormal, because I started to question, like, in myself. I was like, can I do this? Can I see this? Can I see, a child suffering and not lose myself in that? But I think I can, and I will. So the hospital, then we got to work on our modules with students, which I had a great, again, fantastic experience with it. If students get to do this again, it's pretty amazing to talk to other students. It's hard. There's a barrier you have to break through. So you have to kind of be perceptive, and you have to, this is a little advice, I guess, just really be aware of what the feelings and moods are in your group, and react to it. You have to be very reactive. And I've thought about teaching in the future, and I realized after this I would probably be pretty good at it, because I'm very perceptive on what was going on with my group. So the first day went really well. I noticed the tension between the males and females. The second day didn't go so well. I hadn't personally prepared myself as much as I did for maybe the other modules, and so I wasn't prepared for as much discussion, and I realized that like halfway into it, and I made a decision to make sure I was more prepared for Monday's final two modules, and it was great. We spent 2 hours talking, laughing, sharing. There was a mistrust among the Swazi youth of the United States, and of us coming over to talk to them about HIV, because to them, with us just coming in here, what do we know about HIV? Come to find out, they think we have a cure for it. They think that people in the United States aren't sick and dying. So I tried to make them understand that I'm coming from an honest place in my heart, and I asked them to look at, listen to my voice, and realize that we are dealing with some of the same issues that they are, not on the level that they are, but we are all in this together, and we all are one, and we wouldn't be here if there wasn't, if there was a cure, or there was a pill that one person could take. So that was a fantastic experience. They came up to me afterwards, hugged me, we exchanged email addresses. Some of them have already friended me on Facebook. Mm-hmm. So I'll keep in contact with them. They'll keep in contact with me. Who knows? The nursing world is not a large world, so our paths may cross again someday. And then finally, the last day, I got to go out to a rural clinic in Swaziland and get to experience that, which in itself was just another chapter in the book of this trip. Just 3 nurses, hundreds of patients, all sick, very sick. children, old people, young people. There was no cookie cutter HIV patient in Swaziland. It's everybody. Um, and we spoke with Mothers to Mothers, who are a group of mothers who are HIV positive that are mentors for the community. We toured the clinic, talked to nurses, and asked them about how the treatment is for them. And actually, some of the rural clinics do better than some of the big hospitals, because they take the time. They take the time to get to know their patients, and they live in the community with their patients, which was a great thing. And it's so necessary in places like that where people don't eat every day, don't have running water to shower with, or to use, to have personal hygiene. The countryside is beautiful. I got to experience that. We got to go on a safari for a little fun weekend away, which was needed. We rested, we relaxed, we talked, we ate a lot. We slept a little bit, not too much, and saw the wildlife of Africa. So if I would have had expectations for this trip and coming into it, they all would have been met. And that's a great thing to be able to say.
Let me ask, what do you think the Swazi people got out of you being here?
I think they got... I've never met anybody that was Swazi that wasn't appreciative of what we were doing. With the students, once they realized what our motives were, because at first they weren't sure, which, I mean, that's fine. They're young. They should be questioning what's going on. I would be more nervous if they wouldn't, because that would mean they aren't thinking. So it's okay to be on guard a little bit. I think that they saw that, even though I'm thousands of miles and ocean apart, that from St. Louis, Missouri, that I care about what's going on in this tiny country in Africa. And they saw that, and they appreciated that. And my students told me that they are so grateful and thankful for me coming to talk to them and to hear a different perspective, and to hear it from a person who's older than them but still a student, still learning. We talked with them and not at them, and they realized that, and they were very appreciative of that. Like I said, going to the outreach, meeting the people at the wellness center, where they embraced us open-armed, made us feel more welcome than maybe we even deserved. There was one day where we were kind of just sitting in a room waiting for something to happen, because you do that a lot in Africa, but that's okay, you're flexible. And they came in with juice and cookies and water, and just, that was like our first day, So I think they realized that they're not alone in this battle against HIV, tuberculosis. We talked with women about cervical cancer. We talked with men about circumcision. We did it all. So it's going to be hard to go back to our real lives, actually, now at this point, because reality is going to kind of kick back in. But I think it's all worth it. In thinking about a healthcare worker who really inspired me here, I will say that it was so neat to see so many males that were leaders in the community in nursing, because in the United States we learn about a lot of nurses, mostly female nurses, that have been pioneers in the field, because there were so many female nurses coming into it. Obviously times are changing now, and in Swaziland we met some male nurses, one being Monticello, Muzi, even Selby, of course, these people at the wellness center. But I think Monticello, he initiated an emergency 911 program in this country. They've never had that before. He's every day fighting for healthcare workers' rights. He sees a problem, he identifies it, and comes up with the solution for it. And I hope someday that people learn about what he's doing here, even if it's just the Swazi people or South Africans. I think it's important to. I'm big on reflection and realizing that something's going on, something important's happening, to realize it and to let it marinate. And what he's doing here is changing the face of healthcare in this country. So that's an inspiring thing as a young male nurse going into a field that's still female dominated. That if to be my own pioneer, it's important. I think there was a couple people who really stuck with me. One wasn't even a healthcare worker, it was Nitsamanzi. He's the gardener who has lost his wife to HIV and is raising his 3 children. And he has a beautiful garden for the wellness center, and he goes out to the rural outreach, and he helps them learn how to grow food for their families, which is an amazing gift. And I don't know if he realizes it, but other people realize it. And I will say, like, he may not realize it consciously, but I think inside he probably it's helping him grow as a person. From what I've heard, from what you've said about him, with him being so quiet and introverted and everything before, and now that he is doing well, and he was so welcoming with Vince and I. We're like best friends now. And he showed us around the Manzini, toured us around, talked about the culture. His English isn't the greatest, but he had never had a problem communicating. He's probably the first person that sticks out in my head. I would also say there was the nurse yesterday at this rural clinic. I can't even imagine what she goes through in a day and what she sees in a day. And she was smiling, and she was talking with her patients even as she's touring with us. I don't know what she was saying because she was speaking in Swati, but I could tell she has control, and she knows what's going on at every moment in that clinic. And that's probably why it's so successful. She's been there for 10 years. Again, I can't imagine that. She was a strong person, so you could tell that she stood up for what she believed in. She didn't take no for an answer, I'm sure. She had an ambulance. She had if people asked too much of her, like when they said that they went to the nurses to start doing circumcisions, she's like, no, there's 3 of us here, and there's hundreds of patients. We can't do that. So she knew that they couldn't handle that. With the ART drug regimen that was going on, that they counsel people on, you could tell that she was involved, and she knew how adherent they were, and what they needed to stay adherent, which was really important in this place.
Any last comments on the trip itself?
Well, I knew coming here that was maybe one expectation I had, or an idea I had, that this won't be my last trip to like this, and I can't wait to have an experience like this again. And I will always have a part of Swaziland in my heart that I will always keep with me and carry with me for the rest of my life.